Imagine this. You're a farmer in Dominica who worked 30 years, saved every extra dollar in an insurance plan they told you was safe. Or a retired teacher in St. Vincent who put your lump sum pension into a policy because the agent wore a suit and said it was backed by a big brand from Trinidad. Or maybe you're a young Antiguan who lost your scholarship savings overnight. No warning, no refund. That's what happened when Clico and Bico collapsed in 2009. Over $1 billion EC dollars vanished. A Caribbean poppy show if there ever was one. Here's the full breakdown with legal insight, investment wisdom, and some straight Caribbean talk. Antigua and Barbuda Prime Minister Gaston Brown is urging the new Kamala predecessor government to fulfill a commitment made to the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States, OECS, during the tenure of the People's Partnership government, an obligation that would cost Trinidad and Tobago approximately $60 million US. A formal IOU from one CARICOM leader to another. This isn't a favor. It was part of a deal signed under Kamala's previous term. $40 million was paid. 60 still outstanding. New Kamala, old debt. This matter stems from the massive financial crisis that originated with the collapse of two major Caribbean insurance and financial companies. Colonial Life Insurance Company, Clico, and British American Insurance Company, Bico. This crisis, which began in late 2008, sent shockwaves across the Caribbean, particularly affecting TNT, where Clico was headquartered, and the OECS. When an insurance company fails, real lives crumble. These weren't abstract investments, they were real people's retirement, land loan, children's tuition. And when they collapsed, there wasn't a playbook. That's why it hurts even more that a promise made in a panic was never kept. About $1 billion was lost by EC, Eastern Caribbean depositors. Those are funds that were invested by Clico/Bico in the Trinidad economy. And we felt that there should have been greater participation of Trinidad and Tobago in the resolution of the issue. Now, the previous Kamala predecessor administration had agreed to provide a compensation of $100 million US for the OECS countries, of which $40 million US is paid. Unfortunately, the Dr. Keith Rowley administration did not honor the remaining $60 million US, Brown explained to Guardian Media during a lunch break at the 49th meeting of CARICOM heads of government in Jamaica yesterday. Technically, sure, Bico wasn't registered in TNT. But come on, the money flowed into Trinidad's economy. So when things went bust, telling OECS people to go fight it out in liquidation court was adding insult to injury. And let's be honest, fighting this out legally instead of just settling burn up way more than $60 million in goodwill, legal bills, court time, and diplomatic energy. Brown said with the return of predecessor as TNT Prime Minister, he is hoping the balance will be paid. He, however, acknowledged that TNT has its own financial problems. Missed opportunity alert. Both sides should have met halfway long ago. A structured bond, even staggered payouts. Something. But instead we got headlines, hard feelings, and a whole heap of regional grandstanding. So, we're not even asking for all of it to be paid at once. It could be a long-term bond, payable at a low interest rate over an extended period in order to reduce the cash flow impact. But those are negotiations that we hope to have with Kamala, predecessor. And I remain hopeful that we'll be able to resolve the issue. The offer's been there. Just needs political will. But instead, we got a decade and a half of policy ping-pong between TNT governments, while folks in places like Grenada and St. Lucia still waiting to get back 14 cents on every dollar they lost. Predecessor did not attend the ongoing CARICOM meeting in Jamaica. Not saying she dodging, but if you're the one with the checkbook and you miss the debt discussion, people will talk, and rightfully so. However, PM Brown said the option of sending a small OECS delegation to TNT is a viable option to discuss the matter. Muhammad will go to the mountain, he said. If Kamala won't come to us, we coming to Kamala. After all this time, face-to-face diplomacy might still be cheaper than the next lawsuit. The Clico and Bico fallout had a particularly severe and disproportionate impact on the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States, OECS, and the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union, ECCU. Some OECS economies lost 10 to 15% of their entire GDP. That's not a dent, that's a crater. So when you hear Trinidad got bailed out and others didn't, of course it burns. OECS governments were forced to undertake costly interventions and bailouts to mitigate the crisis and protect policyholders. This placed a severe strain on their national budgets and significantly increased public debt. They did what they could, but they shouldn't have been alone. The Eastern Caribbean governments stepped up for their citizens. Now they're just asking TNT to follow through on a deal that helped no one but stall headlines. Brown said the inequities faced by OECS members in the Caribbean Single Market and Economy, CSME, framework were discussed during yesterday's meeting. And again, he referenced TNT. There must be some benefit for the OECS countries. You'd find, for example, that the MDCs, more developed countries, they produce most of the goods that we consume. Trinidad and Tobago, for example, is like a supermarket to the OECS. A lot of the goods that we consume, they're imported from Trinidad and Tobago, he said. Trinidad profits from the region, but when it's time to share the fallout, suddenly it's every country for themselves. That's not integration. That's economic colonization with a CARICOM flag. But we can also source goods extra-regionally at a cheaper price. But the CET, Common External Tariff, precludes us from importing those goods, even from the Dominican Republic, for example, where we can get better prices. So technically speaking, we are subsidizing prices for the MDCs. Imagine knowing you could get cheaper rice from DR, but you're locked into buying from Trinidad due to CARICOM tariffs. Sounds like friendship until money enters the chat. He said within the treaty, there is the Caribbean Development Fund, CDF, which is required to assist countries displaced as a result of the CSME to assist in capacity building, but MDCs have failed to meet their subscription to the CDF. Big players skipping payments again. So you make the rules, get the sales, and dodge the dues? Sounds like that one uncle at Christmas who eat the most and bring nothing. OECS countries have felt that the CARICOM arrangements, particularly the CSME, have historically disadvantaged their manufacturing sectors, he said. We've been playing a rigged game for years. And when we lose, the ref says, well, technically. St. Vincent and the Grenadines Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves recently used the phrase monopoly money to describe TNT's currency due to the severe difficulties Vincentian traders face in converting their earnings in TT dollars into hard foreign currency. That was a body blow. The TT dollar is a real currency, but if traders can't use it or convert it, then to them, it might as well be board game money. Brutal optics. PM Brown said he would never refer to any CARICOM member's currency in that manner. However, he said, but in terms of settling these outstanding invoices in US dollars, understanding their small amounts, $3 million US, I don't know that is insurmountable. So, as far as practicable, I believe that Trinidad and Tobago should settle, and to settle in the appropriate currency, that is US dollars. And it's a work in progress. These issues that have been raised now for several years, and we're hoping that the new administration will give a tangible effect to resolving these issues. This isn't just about policyholders anymore. It's about trust. The way this dragged on, the lawsuits, the delays, the mixed signals, it's made a lot of people lose faith in regional integration. This entire thing became a regional soap opera, court battles, currency insults, political back and forth, all while real families watch their savings vanish. Could have been handled quietly, settled fairly, but instead, we got the full CARICOM Poppy show. If you've ever invested in anything, or hope to in the future, this story is a warning. If you think all islands are treated equally in CARICOM, look again. If you've ever trusted a brand just because it was big, read the fine print. If you're tired of diplomacy turning into bacchanal, demand better leadership and faster justice. Follow, like, and subscribe to Bacchanal Buzz, where we don't just read headlines. We read fine print, track the money, and call out poppy shows.